clear, and you get, and when you watch this video, you get to see when he walks around the car before the incident. You get to see him briefly in the window of the car. You get to see his phone. I think it's an iPhone. Whatever phone it is, it has very good stabilization, which allows you to see everything crystal clear. And there's no question that this ICE officer was defending his life in a very deadly situation. All right, I'm going to play you the video now. And if you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free 888-465-2631. Now remember, this is the officer who fired the shots who's actually filming this on his personal cell phone. The body cam will be coming soon, I'm sure. That's her. Oh my goodness. Boy, oh boy. And if you remember, if you remember, right after the incident happened, the wife was heard by witnesses saying, "It's my fault. I got her killed." And now that we've seen the video, you can tell that for sure. And, you know, this video, when you see the wife, who was a passenger in the vehicle when this happened, the arrogance, you know, and I was talking this morning about what the Democrats are doing. And what the Democrats have done is they have gaslit and brainwashed their own supporters and followers. And these two, they believed in their heart and mind that there's some kind of freedom fighters for the illegals. They're out of their minds. They've lost all sense of reality, and they're being used by the Democrat Party to do terrible and evil things. And you know, this is a sad incident that this happened. You know, this woman so brainwashed by the Democrats that she went off and did something this stupid that got her killed. Her wife definitely egged things on, and you even hear, I'm going to play it again, and you hear the wife when she's getting into the car telling her to drive, and she did, and that's when she hit the officer. So let's go through this again. See, you should drive. Oh my goodness. When can you guys pick up what the wife is saying? She's saying U.S. citizen, former effing something. I couldn't hear what the something was. I'll play it again. Let me know if you could pick up what she says. And I'll tell you another thing about this. You know, we're hearing all this that they went through this Antifa ICE training, and that the driver that was shot for trying to run the officer over, that she was one of these ICE anti-ICE training people training the other activists on how to harass ICE. This technique what they were doing there was a technique, right? What they were doing, this was the way that these two reacted to the ICE agent is part of their training to try to escalate the situation. The condescending, bring it on, big boy, all this, these insane looking smiles on their face. This is all about trying to instigate an incident. Now, for the life of me, I cannot imagine what went through her mind when she got in the car and said, drive, drive, drive. You know, why is she telling her to drive? They're surrounded by federal agents that are saying, get out of the effing car. You know, these what's that? Yeah, she said, drive, baby, drive. You know, baby driver. There have been these lunatic anti-ICE activists who have been lying about what was said, that the ICE officers said, drive away. No, it was the wife that told her to drive away. And, you know, not only do we have this great video from the ICE officer, but we have great audio too, don't we? This is a great camera. I don't know. You know, I've got the new iPhone. Is this the new iPhone? I don't know. Whatever phone that is, I'd like to have that one. It's got great video, incredible stabilization, and audio. And it very well may have saved the life of this ICE officer. Did you see that ICE in large numbers showed up at his house today, took a lot of stuff out? They've had to evacuate this ICE officer and his family and have them at some undisclosed location somewhere for safety. They're probably on a military base. So you can see right here, so you can see the phone. You can see the phone, he's holding it right there in the window. And you look at the technique. See, this condescending lunatic smile is all about them trying to push buttons to escalate. Every step of the way, these two, with purpose, were escalating the incident. Yeah. Wow. You know, these leftists are so. And one thing that's incredibly frightening as a country, you understand that the liberals, the Democrats, right, the Kamala Harrises, the Joe Bidens that have been running the country during the Autopin years, this is their base. And this is the base that they've been catering their message to. And also, these, you know, the squad types and everything that are in government, this is what they're like. You know, when Michael Savage started saying years ago that liberalism is a mental disorder, do these two women look sane to you? So when she said drive, what did she think they were going? Did they think after this, when they've got a federal agent on each, they got federal agents on both sides of the car and in the front. They're completely surrounded by federal agents. and she said drive, and she drove off. What were they thinking? How far did they think they were going to get to go? What goal were they trying to achieve at this point? What a lot of this is it's you know how the Never Trumpers, they call us cult members. We're not cult members. We're very well-informed Americans who support the greatest president of our lifetime, arguably in the history of this country. They're in a cult. They're a small group of lunatics, and they're in this bubble of insanity where everyone in the bubble is completely insane, and they feed on one another, and they don't have anyone in their circle who's saying, well, these things are bad ideas. They feed on one another. I've got some other clips I want to play related to this, but let's play this again. And she said, see if you can make it out. I don't think she's saying veteran, because I heard former. She says, U.S. citizen, former effing something. She's not saying veteran, because you're always a veteran. You're not a former veteran. I couldn't quite make that out. Well, this tape saved this guy's life. And I fully expect to have the local officials illegally charge him in Minnesota. They've been talking about doing it. This is the 5 just a little while ago talking about the video. Let's see what they had to say. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And remember, they shot Charlie Kirk. They shot President Trump. They tried to shoot President Trump a second time, and there's been other incidents too. That's right. Yeah. You know, the people that they're arresting are dangerous, 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 right? This incident that happened with the ICE shooting in Oregon yesterday was a Trinidad de Agua guy, right? I mean, these are guys that are basically like ISIS type fighters. They're arresting very dangerous people. You know, when I was young, when I was born in the 70s in 71, and when I was young, I used to see all these videos of the 60s, and I've seen endless documentaries and movies and television shows, as well as people talking about it, that lived through that time, romanticizing the 60s, the protest movement and everything. That was a wave of violence too. Violence is not romantic, okay? And the leftists in this country, the Democrats, have a history of violence. They're never peaceful. They're violent now. They were violent after George Floyd, okay? They were violent in the 60s. The Democrats fired on Fort Sumter and killed President Lincoln. The Democrat Party, there has not been a period of time when they have not been violent. I've been myself had problems. There was, I'm not going to go through all the details, but I had, at one event I was at with Steve Kane years ago, a Democrat pushed me out in front of moving traffic during rush hour trying to get me killed. I had a leftist hit me with their forearm in my face and my nose, trying to break my nose, and then reported me to the police saying I hit them, right, making a false report. So, you know, Democrats have always been this way. Don't let them convince you or try to tell you, well, you know, Trump's doing these things. Anytime the Democrats have lost power, they send their people out in the street. And I'll tell you, when that Bernie Sanders campaign worker shot Steve Scalise and tried to assassinate the entire Republican baseball team in President Trump's first term, we didn't have these ICE deportations going on then. Yeah, somebody in the chat mentioned Rodney King and the LA riots. And you can go back through time for different riots, right? The Ku Klux Klan, a Democrat organization that had a 100-year reign of terror, committing terrorism, very violent terrorism, lynching of Republicans who were African American. So anytime the Republicans lose, they believe democracy has failed, and they go out and commit acts of violence. So this has nothing to do with Trump. That they're using that, not that it's an excuse, but they're trying to use it as an excuse. Well, we're only violent because of these ICE raids. Really? Then why'd you shoot him in Butler? Why'd you try to shoot him again at the golf course here in Florida? Charlie Kirk's not ICE. Why did the Never Trumpers shoot Charlie Kirk dead? Exactly. Exactly. These are crazed people. And I've thought to myself many times, I don't know if I've shared this with you all, but I've thought to myself many times that the Republicans should have outlawed the Democrat Party after the Civil War was over for what they did. Here's CNN talking the video that I just shared from the ICE officer's cell phone. What a dummy. Yeah, there was an alternative. The officer could have sacrificed his own life. Or if he survived it, been in a wheelchair, paralyzed for the rest of his life. I guess, you know, if, you know. I've heard that so many times in the last couple of days. What a dumb question, CNN. Yeah. Wow. So when you have analysis on CNN backing up these ICE officers, you know that it was that the officer did, sadly, what he had to do to defend his life. Yeah, here's the video. And again, this video was taken from the ICE officer's cell phone. This is not the body cam. This is the officer's personal cell phone. Wow. Her wife told her to drive. Oh boy. I want to take a quick break. When we get back, I've got some more I want to share, and I'll go to the phones as well. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. The Brian Craig Show is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for The Brian Craig Show. If you want to catch the show live in video form, that's on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search for The Brian Craig Show. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for joining. Before we get back to the issues, I want to talk about Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. I'm going to give you his number in just a moment, so get something to write with. Jamie Levac, he is an incredible accountant, okay? And the big, beautiful bill, which is now in effect, it is tax season. Everyone is getting tax cuts and deductions that they've never had before. And Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax knows not just taxes inside and out, he knows all the latest tax code, and he knows the big, beautiful bill inside and out as well. And he'll make sure that you get the maximum number of deductions that the law entitles you to. If you are someone who is, an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, part of the gig economy, in one of those industries, right? DoorDash, call Jamie Levac. Jamie Levac can help you with your taxes no matter where you're located. He's located here in South Florida, where I am, but he covers really the entire world. No matter what state you're in, he can help you with your federal and your state and local taxes as well. I've talked to many listeners already in the short time he's been with us who are just so excited that they called him that they're saving money. We've had multiple listeners, who have had their back taxes, their former years where they were told by previous accountants that they owed money. Jamie Levac went back and found out not only did they not owe money, they're getting returns on past tax years. If you're a W-2 worker, give him a call. If you're in the tip economy, give him a call. If you earn money and pay taxes, call Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. This number rings directly to Jamie, 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587 for Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. Okay, so if you're on hold, stand by. If you're just joining us, this is the cell phone camera. This is that the ICE officer who fired the shots defending his life against this very sad liberal woman. And we've got everything in incredible quality video and sound. You hear the wife told her to drive, and she did. There's a woman on TikTok talking about the incident.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. If the police tell you to stop, you stop. If a white man would have been occupying that vehicle and there happened to be MAGA merch on the back of that said vehicle, y'all would be celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick and choose when to cheer for law enforcement. It kind of reminds me of George Floyd. The cops tell you to stop, you stop. No human being deserves to lose their lives at the hands of anybody else. However, your decision has consequences. However good those consequences may be, or however bad those consequences may be, all decisions have consequences.
Yep.
You can say whatever you want about me, to be quite honest, but I stand 10 toes down on if law enforcement, let that be a police officer, ICE, some sort of DEA, any type of law enforcement officer, if they tell you to stop, let me give you a bit of advice. Stop.
Yeah. And this cell phone video very well may have saved this officer's life. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Tony Regan.
Uh-huh. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Afternoon, Brian. It's John Fernine out of California.
Hey, what's up?
I'm doing well. I pray that you're doing the same. I really appreciate that new video that ended up coming out. It just confirms everything that we have been thinking and seeing. I don't understand what is wrong with these people. If you have somebody that, the thing about it is that I think that her husband, wife, whatever you want to call it, I think that person should be held accountable as well. because technically they were involved in some sort of observation ICE group, and they were intentionally going around and tracking these ICE members, eventually to the point where they ended up impeding with their operation. She was in the car. She was very much involved with this, impeding sort of situation.
Yep.
She was verbally, egging on the officers,
Now,
and
hold on while I answer these other lines. Yeah, go ahead. They're egging on the officers, escalating the situation, an escalation.
Yeah, escalating the situation, and she even attempted, when you watch the video, she was attempting to get back in the car. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't understand why they don't end up going ahead and prosecuting
Well,
her.
you know what I wonder, okay, because we've got some other people that have a lot of responsibility in the death of this woman. One is the wife who told her to drive, and I wonder, there's this thing called felony murder, as an example. If you're the getaway driver for a crime, and somebody goes into the store and robs the store, and they shoot somebody dead, everybody that was involved, including the getaway driver on the curb, it's called felony murder. And there was an incident, if you remember a few years ago, there was a high-profile legal case where someone took their own life, and the girlfriend who was texting him was prosecuted and convicted for egging him on into it. I wonder if the wife here has some type of criminal manslaughter charges that are possible to come down, because not only because she's the one who told her to run the officer over.
Well, that and the fact that she was part of the action of impeding law enforcement.
Yeah.
So that was the initial issue. So if she's involved and there's a crime that's associated that ends up coming out of it, then she should be charged. She should be held responsible for her doing that action. I've been on Twitter or X, and I've been seeing how so many – I don't understand what's wrong with these crazy people, that they're using their cars to impede.
These people are sick. They have been – I've been talking about this the last couple days when we've started to see – I've been talking about this a lot. And maybe you agree or maybe you disagree with this, but the Democrats have been gaslighting and brainwashing their followers, and that's what happened with. Now, again, I'm not absolving them. These two are very much responsible, but the Democrats drove them to this. Look at these people. Both of these women are crazed. I got another question. We know of two other people that have a big role here too. It was reported immediately that the ICE agents called for backup, and the supervisor with the police refused to send backup. Do they have criminal responsibility? That weirdo mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry, that likes to dance to the Somali music with the Somali flag, he had ordered. It's been reported in mainstream outlets that he ordered Minneapolis police not to give backup or cooperate with ICE agents. Do those two have some type of criminal charges of possibly coming against them for this shooting incident? It seems to me that all these people did some very criminal things.
Okay, so I'm going to answer your question collectively, because I know that there's tons of people who want to talk to you. First things first. Sanctuary city status is constitutionally illegal. End, full stop.
Yes.
Any individual who ends up having that, as far as enforcing it, should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Yeah.
Anything that is done to impede federal law from being executed within that state, they should be held accountable. Their federal funds in all areas should be immediately suspended and held in trust or whatever. There has to be a penalty for causing this kind of action.
Yes.
If people honestly wanted to hold people accountable, then they would find where Joe Biden is, and they would be protesting that man's house. They would be doing the same with all of the members of his cabinet, because under their administration, that is where this ended up causing the greatest harm. If you want to end up inciting your constituency to go out and do these acts, then you should be held accountable as well.
Exactly.
Because it makes no sense whatsoever. I deal with mental health, and I can tell you verbatim, a majority of the individuals that I see are probably Democrats. I don't get involved in their political stance, but I can tell you that they have issues in regards to the presentation.
Well, listen, you made some good points. I'll move on, but thanks so much for the call. You made some good points.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. I'll take another call or two before I get into some more here. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, my name is Tony, and I'm from your mother's.
Yeah, I would imagine so, yeah. If you're on hold, stand by, because there's a few more things that I want to share. This is NBC, and they brought in their legal analyst over here on NBC. Listen to this. Wow, so here we have, since this camera footage came out, have you noticed the big change, right? I've played you audio of CNN and now NBC, and all of them are siding with the officer. So there you have it. Now, the president today, did you see, he had a great meeting with the oil people today, the oil company heads, about the future of Venezuela. And did you notice Tucker Carlson was there, sitting in the room? He wasn't at the table at the meeting, but Tucker Carlson was there. He took some questions, as he often does, and the president took questions about the investigation that the feds are doing in Minneapolis over this incident. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that, we are so blessed to have President Trump as our president, and we've not had a president that stood up like this for the right thing every time, every single time. If you'd like to support my program, support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of the episode. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes. You get access to exclusive live chats just for Patreon supporters that are on the Patreon platform. It's a troll-free zone. No trolls are allowed. You also get access to exclusive things that my wife and I both post to Patreon all the time. And if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen on YouTube here, and you get a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. The names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, and Doris. Thank you all. Again, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode on whatever platform you're tuned in on. And you can also go directly to the website, patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. We'll take a quick break and be back. All right. A big story, if you're on hold, stand by. A big story dropped today that there's a Secret Service investigation going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Axios reported the White House contacted the Secret Service regarding Marjorie Taylor Greene after an incident where President Trump was accosted by Code Pink protesters inside a D.C. restaurant over the summer. Marjorie Taylor Greene apparently called Trump to recommend that very same restaurant days earlier, and we've seen recently her being very friendly with Code Pink ladies. Here I'm showing on YouTube a photograph of Marjorie Taylor Greene with the founder of Code Pink. Yeah, Axios reported this. This is Also in the Daily Mail, Marjorie Taylor Greene explodes in astonishing F-bomb laden tirade as Trump orders Secret Service probe. An Axios report published today features testimony from Trump administration aides who blamed Marjorie Taylor Greene for tipping off the activist group Code Pink to the president's whereabouts to that D.C. steakhouse back in September. Holy smokes. She's lost her mind, and she lost it long ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's really sad, isn't it? Because, you know, everybody in the MAGA movement loved her. What happened? Well, we don't know, and maybe we'll never know. Was she ever MAGA? Did she feel slighted at some point? Well, we're never really probably going to know. We don't know now. Hopefully we'll know at some point because I want to know. But for people that talk about a MAGA divide, there's no MAGA divide. We have a couple of people out there. She's one of them who is creating this illusion of a MAGA divide. But I think a good case could be made that she was never MAGA, that she was just pretending to be. And she's not the first fake, phony MAGA we've had. We've had a lot of fake, phony MAGA, and she's just a very disappointing person. So I've got a few clips I want to share, and then maybe I'll take some calls. This is the president again at the meeting with oil executives today involving discussion about the future of Venezuela. Okay, so, I mean, this is amazing. Not only did he liberate Venezuela, but they're going to be rich down there. I wanted to ask you this, because I had some thoughts on this, and, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm always right, but I think most of the time I've got some pretty good take on what I'm actually seeing from afar. This meeting today at the White House was of oil executives, which is exactly who you need. You know, Venezuela, it was reported earlier this week that Venezuela has more oil than even the United States. I thought we had more than everyone. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's been reported this week. But because of the lunatics that have been running the country, their oil industry they haven't been able to exploit what they have. So you need these top guys from Exxon and all these companies to go down there and fix the situation. But Tucker Carlson was in that meeting with the oil companies. He was not sitting at the table with the executives and the president. He was, you know, how they have those chairs that are on the outside, like against the walls and stuff. He was in one of those chairs. So why do you think Tucker Carlson was there? And, you know, Tucker Carlson is a man of mystery, but I'm going to run this by you, and you can let me know in the live chat if you're watching live, or let me know in the comments if you have any any thoughts on this. I do believe that Tucker Carlson is a deep state guy. Okay, he's a deep state guy. His dad was a lifetime CIA guy. This has been not only widely covered and reported, Tucker Carlson even admits this. And then we had that incident. I didn't really think of him as, I didn't know about his father being in the CIA. And I did not think that he was deep state until the Putin interview. When Putin, remember when he interviewed Putin, Tucker, and Putin said, oh, I know you tried to join the CIA and you couldn't get it. I think he is CIA. And I'm wondering, the reason he was there in that meeting is because he's so in with the Muslims and the Arab world. And oil, they're OPEC, right? So he's all in with these OPEC people. Isn't it all possible that I'm not saying that this is true. This is just a thought in my mind right now. So I'm not saying this is the way it is. It's just this is just a thought that passed through my mind. Is he actually, as crazed as he sounds, is he actually still working for the United States, the deep state, and maybe even President Trump? President Trump had him there. He was there because the president invited him there. And this anti-Israel, anti-Semitic business that we're seeing, is it at all possible that the deep state and the president have Tucker Carlson working for them, and this rhetoric is a way for him to bond with these Muslims in the Middle East, where President Trump's trying to bring peace to that part of the world for the first time? Maybe that's a stretch, but maybe it's not. We followed Tucker for years, and the way he's been behaving in the last year or so is just so out of character to the guy we all know or knew. And then you see him there. In a way, what I'm saying is he some kind of double agent of sorts? Does that make sense to you guys? Is that possible? Is that nuts? Now, again, I'm not saying that that's the case, but it's just a thought that came to my mind, and based on everything that's been going on, that is a possibility in my mind. If you're new to the program, make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are on, okay? The Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. And if you want to catch the show live and in video form, that's on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search The Brian Craig Show on all podcast platforms. But if you want the live show and you want it in video form, where you hear me taking live calls every day, go to my YouTube channel and search The Brian Craig Show, and you can catch the show live in video form when I'm taking calls every morning and afternoon, and you can even call in yourself, okay? The Brian Craig Show, wherever you get your podcast. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I will talk to you next time. Take care.